Hello and welcome. This is the news on NTA International. I am Lami Ali. First, the headlines. President Muhammadu Buhari inaugurates operational assets for Nigeria Police, pledges more funding for the force. Federal government alerts veterinary officers on outbreak of anthrax disease in Niger Republic. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission gets court order to remand former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Mohammed Bello Adoke, in custody. And time now for the details. Criminal elements in the country will no longer have any hiding place, as the Nigeria Police is now well positioned to, at any point in time, monitor, detect and prevent and also confront acts of crime and criminality for sustainable peace and prosperity. This followed the inauguration of the state-of-the-art critical policing assets acquired by the Forces High Command as part of efforts towards redefining the nation's policing framework. President Muhammadu Buhari, who performed the ceremony, tasked the police to avoid complacency in the renewed drive towards ridding the country of crimes. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu has the details.
Praying to God for guidance and protection of the police in the discharge of their responsibilities, President Muhammadu Buhari formally inaugurated 139 patrol, surveillance and tactical operational vehicles, including 21 armored personnel and troop carriers, as well as anti-riot water cannon trucks. Also inaugurated were the National Command and Control Center, as well as the first phase of the Crime and Incident Database Center. Both the vehicles and the centers, kitted with the state-of-the-art equipment, were provided by the Police High Command towards enhancing efficiency and effectiveness in crime detection, prevention and control.
I wish you the best of luck.
President Muhammadu Buhari noted with delight that the leadership of the police has keyed into the federal government's next-level agenda in relation to strengthening institutional capacity towards addressing the nation's internal security challenges.
Security of lives and properties of Nigerians is a constitutional obligation. It is for this reason that I have always prioritized the police as a critical agency in the internal security architecture of our country. My vision is to bequeath to our nation a legacy of a reformed, modernized, fully equipped, highly motivated, and citizen-focused police force that is reoriented to the virtues of professionalism, respect for rule of law, due process, and best international practices in their operations.
Already impressed with the improved security situation in Nigeria through the technology-led and intelligence-driven models by the police, the President directed the Minister of Police Affairs to fast-track the takeoff of the Police Trust Fund so that other operational and logistics requirements of the force will be met.
You must take cognizance of the fact that in the discharge of your duties, you shall not only be judged by the number of crimes you have stopped or the number of convictions you have secured, but also the extent to which the process of achieving your statutory mandate conforms to professional and legal standards.
Both the Minister of Police Affairs, Muhammad Megari Dingyadi, and the Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, appreciated President Muhammadu Buhari for the unprecedented support and assistance to the Nigeria Police, which they promise will not let the nation down.
Mr. President, you can be rest assured of our commitment in ensuring that the Nigeria Police is properly positioned to drive the next level security agenda of the federal government.
We shall sustain our blueprint of modernizing all components of our operations towards addressing any form of threat to our internal security.
This is the first visit by President Muhammadu Buhari to Louis Edet House since coming to power. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And the National Action Committee for the Implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement has been charged to ensure that existing gaps, loopholes and threats that might be injurious to the nation's economy are effectively addressed. President Muhammadu Buhari, who gave the charge while inaugurating the committee, maintains that Nigeria's approach to the agreement remains very measured and consistent. As the 2020 budgetary statutory budget of the Federal Capital Territory of 278.3 billion naira, over 40 billion naira increase from the figure proposed by the Executive. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nko reports that the Senate has adjourned to the 28th of January 2020.
It's unconventional to see members of the National Assembly entering the chamber on a Friday for plenary. Friday, 20th of December 2019 will go down in history as the second time the 9th Senate held plenary on a Friday. The first was during the screening of ministerial nominees. The report of the Senate Committee on FCT on the 2020 statutory budget of the Federal Capital Territory was the only item considered. Chairman of the committee, Abubakar Kyari, presented the report which recommended 278.3 billion naira for the FCT fiscal year against the 232.8 billion proposed, as he gave reasons for the increment.
Committees of FCT deliberated and resolved to double the proposed allocation to security in the Federal Capital Territory and its environs. The committees deployed funds to meet areas of critical needs like security, roads, water, health, education, and development of satellite towns within the territory.
160.1 billion was allocated to capital, while recurrent is 118.2 billion naira. Development of satellite towns received 36.5 billion, universal basic education 6.5 billion, maintenance of public buildings 3.4 billion, Federal Capital Territory Secondary Education Board 3 billion.
I've looked at the spread and I think that they've spread the increase on infrastructural development, especially the satellite towns, because we need to really decongest the city center.
And for the President to sign the budget 2020 before the end of December, and for the budget 2020 to start taking effect from 1st January, definitely the Nigerian economy will see significant changes.
Meanwhile, President of the Senate Ahmed Lawan received a delegation from the Ministry of Labor and Employment, who were on a condolence visit over the death of late Senator Benjamin Uwajumogu. Until his death, the late senator was the chairman Senate Committee on Labor. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nko, NTA News.
And still from the legislature, the House of Representatives has passed the Nigeria Customs Service budget for 2020 amounting to 238.149 billion naira. The lawmakers passed the budget at a special sitting on Friday. The Nigeria Customs Service budget passed during plenary captures the service's overhead costs and capital projects for the period.
The total sum of 238,149,325,832 naira 70 kobo only.
Also passed by the House was the Federal Capital Territory statutory budget for 2020 and a bill amending the National Council on Public Procurement, while a bill seeking the establishment of the National Oil and Gas Museum Research Institute Oloibiri in Delta State, sponsored by Fred Obwa, passed through second reading. The House adopted a motion from Haruna Mshelia calling on relevant authorities to prevent Boko Haram attacks in communities in Borno State, and the motion raised by Simon Elisha urging the federal government to declare an emergency on snake bites in parts of Gombe State.
The prevalence of snake bites in Kaltungo and Shongom local government areas of Gombe State and have become serious public health and occupational hazards to the affected communities that are largely agrarian.
Deputy Speaker Ahmed Idris Wasi commended House members for their commitment to duty. Plenary has been adjourned to 28 January 2020 as the lawmakers proceed for the Christmas and New Year break. From the National Judiciary. The Federal Capital Territory High Court sitting in Maitama has granted the plea of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) to keep the former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Mohammed Bello Adoke (SAN) in its custody. Justice Osman Musa gave the order in an ex parte motion brought before the court by the EFCC Council. Dele Atumbi reports that the order is to enable the Commission conclude investigations on the alleged involvement of Adoke in the Malibu oil deal.
Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in 2017 filed charges against the former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Mohammed Bello Adoke, SAN, Shell Nigeria Exploration Production Company, and 9 others for their alleged involvement in the Malibu oil deal. The case involves the 2011 sale of the Nigerian Oil Production License OPL 245. The matter filed before the FCT High Court borders on alleged fraudulent allocation of OPL 245 and other forms of offences including forgery of bank documents, bribery and corruption to the tune of $1.2 billion. The case further contravenes the country's law on the transfer of OPL 245 from Malibu Oil and Gas Limited to Shell Nigeria Exploration. Following the continued absence of Adoke in court, Justice Danladi Shensi had on April 17 this year issued a bench warrant for the arrest of former Attorney General of the Federation and other defendants in the matter. This led to the arrest of Mohammed Adoke in Dubai by the Interpol on November 11, 2019. Adoke was handed over to the EFCC on December 19 on his arrival from Dubai. The EFCC this Friday secured the order of the FCT High Court to detain the defendant in its custody for 14 days. Trial is expected to commence at the expiration of the 14 days detention order. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
And the federal government says it will continue its fight in corruption to make life meaningful to Nigerians through the evolution of infrastructural facilities. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami reaffirms this in Abuja while reviewing the activities of the ministry in 2019. Again, Dele Atumbi reports.
Before the advent of the present administration in 2015, Nigeria suffered a lot of setbacks as a result of endemic corruption, resulting in capital flight, lack of quality education, infrastructural deficit, inefficient medical care, leading to medical tourism, as well as poverty among the people. On assumption of office in May 2015, President Muhammadu Buhari assured Nigerians of his administration's determination to fight corruption to a standstill in the public sector with the aim of turning Nigeria around for good. About 5 years down the line, the administration has strengthened the anti-graft institutions with enabling legal framework and environment to bring to book those that have preferred the Commonwealth of the nation. The success of the anti-graft war has improved the ease of doing business in the country, thereby engendering the confidence of foreign investors in the country's economy.
Our fight against corruption is total, comprehensive, and dispassionate, devoid of any political or ethnic sentiments or inclination.
The federal government has also developed the National Anti-Corruption Strategy and a guideline for smooth implementation of the strategy with 5 pillars. Between 2015 and September 2019, the government has secured 1,636 convictions, including 3 former governors across party lines, with 22 former governors still facing trials.
We have created a central database for recovered stolen assets, which is under the supervision of the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice.
Following the federal government's commitment to the fight against corruption, the National Association of Judiciary Correspondents presented an award of excellence to the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, SAN. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
Rail project is crucial to the federal government's plans to unlock the huge economic potential at the Apapa Trade Corridor in Lagos State. To guard against any delay, the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, has deployed regular inspection of the ongoing project to quickly link the Lagos seaport to the dry port in Ibadan. He is optimistic that these alternative arrangements will ease cargo call time and evacuation. On the pace of work along the axis, His impression is that there is a sizable improvement from the last time he visited, but frowned at the delay in laying the standard track to Agege.
I just directed the consultant to make sure that in every station they have a consulting staff, which is an engineer, not that they visit. If we didn't stop here, they would have probably have laid the visit and they would have proceeded. But it's because we stopped here that they realize that this is poor quality work and they have to start afresh. So one of the benefits is seeing for yourself what's going on, and if there is need for corrections and amendments, we do it and all that. I've met our target in terms of the tracks, yes. In terms of the stations, 60-40, because we need speed. But there are arguments that they said, look, we'll deliver in April. Why not allow us in April?
Michael Olai reports that as the 6 train stations along the axis, work is in progress but a bit slow owing to challenges ranging from limited manpower to inadequate construction materials. You're still watching the news on NTA International. Time now for a break. Do stay tuned as more stories will come your way after the timeout.
This na how we dey show for holiday. This na how we dey be when you don't tey you block male. This one pass decoder. This na your family groove. Totori your family this season. Go sharply arrange Go TV decoder and Go Tenor wey carry 1 month Go TV Max subscription follow body for only 6,900 naira. Go TV. Live it, love it.
Thank you for joining us again. As part of its social corporate responsibility, the Nigerian Television Authority, in collaboration with other media organizations, are leading the campaign for the welfare and security of people living with albinism. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports that the effort is in line with the 2020 Ivory Aid Ball and Fundraising Committee for Albino Patients.
Findings show that people living with albinism are exposed to various degrees of health challenge, with cancer of the skin and eye on the front burner. This development has been engaging stakeholders across different fields of life to design frameworks of mitigating the problem. The latest initiative is driven by the 2020 Ivory Aid Ball, aimed at raising funds to address common health challenge with the media as critical stakeholders.
We, in the NTA and the FRCN, see this project as part of our social corporate responsibility. And we're also hoping that well-meaning organizations and individuals out there will key into this partnership to ensure that we give our brothers and sisters who need this assistance particularly, especially those of them who are very vulnerable.
It is so timely because as we speak, we're having challenges meeting the bills of the National Hospital. And so this is a welcome development.
As a demonstration of commitment to the actualization of the program, a 42-member committee was inaugurated to accomplish the task ahead. Managing Director NTA Enterprises, who represented the Director General of NTA, Mr. Maxwell Loko, charged them to remain steadfast in pulling resources in meeting the health and social problems of people living with albinism. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated All Progressives Congress APC governors on their Supreme Court victories after what he called your patience legal battles to defend your mandate. The president said he is pleased and proud that the affected governors have successfully concluded their legal battles, and now is the time to concentrate fully on fulfilling their campaign promises after the distractions caused by the litigations. In a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, President Buhari, however, advised the governors not to see their challenges as enemies because they were exercising their democratic rights by going to the courts to seek redress. And it was a message of hope and prosperity for Nigerians in the new year as thousands gathered for the 2019 State House Christmas Carol. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports that some of the dignitaries commended the Buhari administration for steering the nation towards a greater future.
From every part of the Federal Capital Territory, enthusiasts have come to witness the annual Christmas Carol here at the Presidential Villa Banquet Hall. The carol is the celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ, who in the Christendom is regarded as a gift to the world.
I believe as Nigerians, we have to celebrate the birth of the Lord, and we have to continue to hope and believe that he that says with him nothing is impossible. There's no problem facing this nation, the north to the west, east to the south, that is impossible. God will solve it. Our hope must be built on him because he will not fail us.
There's going to be tremendous progress in this country in 2020. We've returned the country to the budget cycle of January to December. With an element of certainty, definitely there will be strides and developments that will take place in this nation. We are getting focused and we're getting redirected in the pursuit of the activities of government and also providing leadership for the people of this country. President Buhari is set.
There's so much to celebrate. Is there a lot that we're looking forward to? Absolutely. Is there a lot that we would have wanted by now? Of course. But is there a lot to celebrate? Absolutely.
So we should be thinking about from next year to be talking more positive about this country, to be proud of this country.
For unto you is born this day in the city of David.
Lessons taken from the Bible reflect on the events which took place before, during, and after the birth of Jesus.
Do you think about your tomorrow, brother? I'm talking about a day when money will be useless. I'm talking about a day when you will not even know the number of houses you have. You will leave everything behind. The question is, where are you going to spend eternity?
The carol features groups from across the country. From the State House Banquet Hall, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development has put its veterinary officers on alert on the outbreak of anthrax disease in neighboring Niger Republic. A statement by the Chief Veterinary Officer of the Federation, Oni Alabi, described anthrax as a deadly zoonotic disease with high rate of mortality in human and livestock. Considering the mass movement of animals and products across Niger and Nigeria, the Chief Veterinary Officer says it is important to enhance and strengthen surveillance system in all entry points in the border communities. He therefore appealed for adequate measures to prevent the incursion of the disease into Nigeria. In the same vein, the Nigeria Customs Service says it has alerted its zonal, regional and other officers across the country on the outbreak of the disease in Niger Republic. In a statement, Victor Dimka, Comptroller Enforcement, says the alerts became necessary to ensure that the disease does not spread into the country. Time now to join Uche Ugochukwu for trending news from other parts of the globe.
Ethiopia has launched its first satellite into space to monitor climate change and improve research in agriculture and drought preparedness. The satellite, named ETRSS-1, was launched from China on Friday. Ethiopia plans to launch a broadcast satellite into space in the next 3 years. In another news, the United Nations Assistance Mission in Somalia has urged the country to hold one-person, one-vote elections by the end of 2020 or early 2021. The mission, consisting of the United Nations, the European Union, and 15 other partners, has also warned against the extension of President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed's term. Somalia's government had pledged to pass two crucial electoral bills by December to guarantee universal suffrage as well as 30% quota for women representation in parliament, but debate on the bills has been marred by divisions and financing of the polls. And U.S. President Donald Trump has demanded an immediate impeachment trial in the Senate amid an impasse among Democrats and Republicans over when it may start. On Wednesday, the House impeached Mr. Trump on charges of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress, but Democrats have refused to start the proceedings, arguing the Republican-controlled Senate is refusing witnesses and will not hold a fair trial. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Moving on to sports news, NTA shines again in FCT's 1-5-side football tournament. Here is Kene Emabudike with details and more on Sports Update.
Team Nigerian Television Authority (NTA) continues their domination of FCT Sports Writers Association of Nigeria 5-a-side football tournament as they defeated the news agency of Nigeria NAN 4-1 in the final at the Area 3 pitch Abuja on Friday to win their third consecutive title. Haruna Umar bagged a hat-trick while Olaleko Kelajelu made it 4 for Team NTA as NAN got their only goal of the game through Tijani at Tojoko.
My appreciation goes to the management of the NTA and the general manager NTA Sport for believing in me and my crew for making it again for another successful year.
We gave a gallant fight, and I'm sure some other time we'll do better.
Voice of Nigeria defeated Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria 5-2 to